kind of want to do it I don't have
Good morning. Too much chat.
I like that piece. What's it called?
Made a mistake this morning and I handed out too many programs. So if you've got an extra program with you, I'm going to try to get it. Thanks.
Good morning. It's so joyous to be together again since we weren't able to be last week. And with that, I'd like to have us join in your order of service in the lighting of the chalice. It's special words today. We gather knowing that our light can't reconstitute itself. Without each other, a coldness sets in. Leaning on each other, trusting each other, helping each other fall back in love with life over and over again. Only from this does the flame emerge. Today, may it rise again.
And as the flame is lit, may we begin the process of calming our hearts, looking deep inside ourselves for our own understanding and our own strength. And may this time of silence, this time of quiet, bring us together in that way that draws hope into our place. Thank you. John, if you would. to this time of worship. Worn, weary, or wide awake, in this gathering we acknowledge the pressure of living, the tender ache of persisting through uncertainty, the courage of continuing when clarity is distant. Yet here we are, still breathing, still reaching, still becoming. Today, let us embody resilience together, not as armor, but as the soft, stubborn practice of returning to ourselves, to one another, and to the work of love. Shall we? Good morning. My name is Charlie Tyler. I'm the pastoral minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Low Country. In the moment, I have a number of announcements to make, and then after that, we're just going to take a few seconds to be still within ourselves and ready ourselves for the rest of our service together. I look very much forward to having my good friend Dick Hood speaking today and bringing the experience of his life into this pulpit. Those of you who are guests and visitors today, I'd like for you to know a couple things. One, there's a yellow card in a pocket in front of you. If you're willing, please fill that out and put it in the basket when it comes around to you. And the good news is that's the only thing, as a guest, that's the only thing you have to put in the basket today. So just make sure that you let that pass, but give us a notice. That's your gift to us, and we thank you for that. The other thing, as a guest, I'm going to ask you to do, if you're leaving here and would like to have a cup of coffee from the Sacred Coffee Pot, that's in the back there, there are yellow mugs. They look just like this, and if you're a guest, you get to use one of those so we can find you out there later. And if you're a first or second time visitor, we'd like to know that you're here and a little bit about where you're from, because there's probably somebody else from there too. So on my right, your far left, are any first or second time visitors that would like to stand and introduce themselves? Yes, sir, if you would, please. Yes.
I'm Walt Hoskins. I've been a resident around here for probably 12 years over in Mill Creek, Cypress Ridge. I'm a secular humanist, a scholar of the Bible and religion, and this is like a perfect fit here. My daughter turned me on to it, believe it or not, because we did not do childhood indoctrination in our family. And so I feel so welcome here. I feel this is my family. I just haven't met them before.
I know. They're all your family. And you and I are going to have a conversation together. I'm looking forward to that. Anybody else on this side? Yes.
Yeah, this is my friend Eris. She is 13 years old in my grade, and she's been here once before, and she had a sleepover, so she just came to check it out.
Welcome. Thank you. Anything else on that side? In the middle section, first or second time visitors. And on my far left, your right, any first or second time visitors? Those of you that are here, you know that you complete us. Whether you just walked through this door, whether you're over 50 or under 50, we need each other, and you make us complete. And I thank you for the completion that brings you together and brings us together in what can really be a distinctive and important time in our lives. I have a number of announcements to make. If you would please be patient with me. The Growth Committee wants you to know that in February, your challenge is to reach out to someone that you haven't seen here in a while. We're going to give you limited ability to nag that person and to be curious and sort of probe and say, we really miss you. Life would love for you to come back. Life does that kind of stuff to us. So if you're thinking about somebody that you hadn't seen in a while, find that phone number and make sure that you reach out to them, find their email, and just say, we miss you, love to have you back. It's also time to start the Peace Games, the opportunity to join in the upcoming in-person Peace Games class here at this church. There's a clipboard in the foyer, and if you have any questions, I'm going to ask that you see Diane Villari at the coffee break. And Diane is here. Diane, would you stand real quick and turn and face? There we go. There's all the peace signs. So see her if you're interested in learning more about this opportunity, which we certainly need. Our Path to Belonging begins today at about 12:30. If you're interested in joining this congregation, that's the process that you go through. We may not have your name, but you should know that you're certainly welcome to stay if you're interested and curious. Ann Harrison, if you would please, Ann, stand. I know. Ann and I both lead that class. Ann has taken the lead on that for the last several years. And it's an opportunity to talk about who we are and why we do what we do. The children, are they still collecting magazines, Ann?
Yes.
Yes, so there's a magazine collection for collage and projects. And if you have old magazines, bring it to the Sunday school room and give it to Amy Hetzel or to Ann, and we'll make sure that those magazines get where they're going to go. We are still looking for greeters at the door. If you have not yet signed up but feel particularly welcoming today, we would love to talk with you and have you be someone who welcomes our guests as we come into the door. Is Linda Klingman in the room? Linda, would you stand? If you're interested in being a greeter, see that lady right there. She's also known as our badass grandma. For those of you that are guests, we can talk about that later. Small group dining, the membership committee is contacting individuals to be a part of your next small group. Music on Malphas, Reggie Harris is going to be with us on Saturday, February 21st. I'm really looking forward to seeing him. He brings a great tradition and a depth of soul in his music, and I hope that all of us can be here on that Saturday, February 21. The congregation is hiring, not a pastor. The congregation is hiring internal candidates for the administration office that's open now. Many of us know that our administrator, David and Sarah, passed away some weeks ago, and we're in the process now of interviewing individuals who might like that position here in the church. If you're a person that wants that position, we would seriously encourage you to seek professional counseling. But before you go any further with that, I've been there, done that, and think I can speak to that. But if you're interested, we'd love to be able to have the opportunity to talk with you. I know I've missed some stuff. Hang here with me just for a moment. I was at a birthday party until 7 o'clock this morning with one of my grandchildren. And so I've been kind of whiplashed between where I am and where I should be. I think, is there any other announcement? Yes, if you would, please. Oh, thank you. Kim, I'm assuming it's concerning the candle. There is a candle, single candle that's lit here. This candle has been lit and will be lit for the next several weeks to remember David and Sarah, who was our congregational administrator here for 9 years. David was not just an administrator. David, as many of you know, was the hub of who we are, how we work, who knew everything from where the keys were to the toilet paper to the mobs to how to use the computer program. He's that guy. Sadly, cancer took his life some weeks ago, and we continue to mourn his loss and feel a hollow spot in our lives. And as we gather together and grieve together and hold our hands together, we can find our way for strength and unity in that which is significant and valuable. So on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, January 20, he passed away on January 28th. But there will be a celebration of life for David on February 28th at 11 o'clock. You are all welcome. And please feel free to take a reminder sheet before you leave there in the foyer. Anything else I should do with that? Okay, thank you. Other announcements that I have missed. Let's take a moment now just to sit quietly with ourselves and to think on already what has happened here as we gather together in this place and send strength to Dick as he readies for this message. Let's just stay quiet. Thank you. And Dick, if you would please, your opening words.
Good morning. I'm Dick Hood. I'm a retired UU minister, and I'm honored to preach here once a month. And if you don't like it this Sunday, come next Sunday because it's somebody different. So. The opening words this morning are a little different than usual. I consider that what I'm about to say to be sacred language, but it is really legal language, and I think it's language that you will recognize. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crimes shall have been committed, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with witnesses against him, to have the compulsory process of obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel of his defense. That, as you probably have imagined, are sections of the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment to the Constitution, which we call the Bill of Rights. Join us, please. Rise as you're willing and able. Hymn number 6 in your hymn book.
It's so real. That's what I'm wearing right now.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though it may not make my way, still it won't find me the day. If they ask what I did now, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they answer when I think now, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierces me through, still I kept on loving you. If we ask I did best, tell I said yes to love. It's time for us to share in our abundance. For those of you that have brought goods for either Bluffton Self-Help or the Sandalwood Food Pantry, please remember to leave those at the table in the back, as they are collected each week and delivered to our much-needed folks that are suffering from food insecurity at this time. Also, our friends and guests that have joined us, please let the basket pass, as you being here is a gift to us today. And for those of who can, please donate with your generosity to sustain our fellowship here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of the Lone Country. Very important. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity this morning.
Good morning. So now's the time when we share our joys and concerns. We share our joys so that we can all celebrate with you, and we share our concerns so that we can help relieve some of your burdens. When you come up, you can take a stone from the basket, tell us your joy or concern, and then put the stone in the cairn. Please no announcements or political statements at this time.
Good morning. I'm Candida, and I just wanted to, I have a concern, but I just need your help. I am the new chairperson for the CARE Committee. I have had the pleasure and wonderful experience of working with Betsy and Kathy, who have paved the way for this, but I need your help. If there's someone in the congregation that is needing help or something or other, love from our church, send me a text or an email. My number is in the directory, and then I can send it off to the CARE Committee, and we can take care of it from there. Okay? Anyway, thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Linda, and I have two joys. I'm back. It feels like a long time, and it's good to see you all. But I wanted to share my joy with you about my nephew. I know you have all been very kind and checking on him. He had surgery a few weeks ago. The doctor had given us the most dire prognosis there could be, and voila, they got all the cancer, they got everything. He does not have to go to chemo or radiation. He has to keep checking, being checked every few months. But it is such a relief. So thank you very much for all of your thoughts and your prayers and your asks. Thank you.
I'm Leslie. This is Greg, and Greg spoke from the heart a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't prepared to speak this morning, so I'm going to let Greg take over.
As you know, I had mentioned I was engaged to Leslie, and I thought maybe she was going to start running away. And we had planned having a ceremony here at UU, which we will have an affirmation, but we got married Friday night. The other side is there's a lot of dark stuff that's been going on. And I had our best friends that we were going to have participate in our wedding. She went in the hospital on Monday. And she had to have angiograms, some stents put in and everything like that. And then I also got a text from my brother that my oldest brother's wife, they were visiting her family in Thailand. She was admitted to the hospital, also have an angiogram, and ended up with 4 stents. We're not sure of the condition that she's in right now, but Leslie and I, spare of the moment, basically had decided that we would go ahead and do it on Friday because we liked the number 2626. And South Carolina has very minimal rules on getting married. You only need a notary. And as a side note, I will say, when we were getting our marriage license, we asked the guy, do you do courthouse weddings? No, we don't do that. He said, but you could go down to the Welcome Center and they have a notary that performs ceremonies. And I told Leslie, I said, I don't understand that I've got to drive to Georgia, turn around and come back to stop at the Welcome Center to get married. That's taking somebody across state lines. Could be a problem. So we got married, like I say, Friday night, had a nice dinner. Yesterday was great. It's great to see a near full house here today. And, like I say, we give wish to with David passing, I did not know him. And I'm hoping a little bit of joy to start filling the month. So.
But David and Ellen were such role models as, Mike and Betsy and so many other couples here. So this is why, time is precious and we never know what the future brings. And so we did it. We're legal.
Hi, I'm Gloria, or Glow, and my joys are actually threefold. The first is that my stepdaughter got to visit from Costa Rica last weekend, and despite the freezing weather, we had the White Christmas, which we kind of missed earlier this season. The second is I'm hoping that this is the last of the below 32 degrees mornings so I can take my plants out of my garage where they've been living for the past month. But lastly, and most importantly, I did the Path to Belonging class back in the fall when it was given. And if you haven't, I'm giving it a plug right now. Because when I moved here from Connecticut 5 years ago, certainly I moved for warmer weather and not shoveling snow this past weekend, notwithstanding. But I wasn't sure that I was going to find my tribe. And honestly, I was unsure for a couple of years. And this Path to Belonging class and this congregation, I've only been here about 6 months, I guess, 5 or 6 months, definitely has let me know that I have found my family. And so even though I don't know many of you yet, and we were
you had also said, hey, I don't know you yet, but I know your hearts, and that gives me hope. So hope is in your step.
My name is Janet. Larry, my partner, and I became engaged last week. After 43 years of being apart and not speaking to each other, we got back together. That's a miracle. And I want to say it's largely because of the inspiration Charlie gave us 2 weeks ago. Oh, that's a bad one. But additionally, and we're getting married probably February 22nd, probably by a notary or something. We've waited long enough. But mostly I wanted to say that we went to the protest 2 Sundays ago, and last Sunday we weren't here. No one was here to say thank you for all the people who went to that protest. We went, and it was the first time I've protested in decades. Put your hand up if you went. We had at least 500 people on the Bluffton Parkway. And again, it was because we heard the announcement that morning that we went at 4 o'clock that afternoon. I think we had an impact on the people who drove by. I didn't see it in the Island Packet or on any of the local news stations. In my heart, I know we did the right thing. So thanks to all of us for doing that. And thanks, Charlie.
All right. And I'm going to take 2 stones. One's for the joys and concerns that are unspoken, and 1 additional stone in remembrance of children and families affected by gun violence. And now we will read our affirmation, 558, for everything a season. And this is a responsive reading, so I will read the regular type, and the congregation will read the italic. For everything a season. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to throw away stones, and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. Thank you.
A time to seek, and a time to lose.
A time to keep, and a time to throw away.
A time to dare, and a time to sow.
A time to keep silence, and a time to speak.
A time to love, and a time to hate.
A time for war, and a time for peace. Thank you.
They told me in seminary that you should always start a sermon where your congregation is. And so I want to try and do that today, not literally, I know where you are, but the word of the day is super. Super, thank you, duper, right, as well, yeah. Kathy Burmeister and I would like to talk about the Super Bowl. And unfortunately, she's in the nursery, but I talked to her, and we guarantee a Patriots victory. Hey, Save your booze for somebody who deserves it. Super is sort of the word of the day. If you go to 7-Eleven, you get supersized drinks. If you go to the market, it's not just a market, it's a supermarket. I can remember when it was just a little market about the size of the foyer there, but I'm getting old. And finally, of course, the idea of superhero. A little family story before I get started. My wife, about when our younger son was about 4 years old, did such a very nice thing. She made him a Superman cape put on his back. And he was 4 years old, so he didn't need constant attention. And shortly after he got the Superman cape, he went down in the basement and he put the cape on and he climbed up on a stool and he jumped off because he thought he could fly. He broke his wrist. He has recovered. He's now 49, and probably, if he ever listens to this sermon in California, you'll probably be cringing at the moment, but nonetheless. But I want to talk this morning about heroes and superheroes. And it's a message of both lamentation and sadness, but of hope as well. And I hope that I can convey that to you. I don't mean to demean people who are just heroes. And there are thousands, millions of heroes. There are heroes right here in this congregation. I think specifically of the heroes in Minneapolis who are taking food to people who are afraid to come out of their own home, who are escorting children to school. They are heroes, and I don't want to take anything away from that as I talk about a different or an uplifted category today, superheroes. I believe that there is such a thing as a superhero, and I'm not talking fictional heroes, no Wonder Woman, Batman, or whatever superhero of your choice. I'm talking about real people. And I want to share with you 4 very brief stories of superheroes. And I think that there are 2 specific things about superheroes that set them apart. And I'll be identifying those later, but in the meantime, you can see if you can figure out where I'm headed with that. 4 superheroes. First one's easy. Abraham Lincoln. Not necessarily for the Emancipation Proclamation. Everybody thinks, oh yes, Lincoln. But remember, in the Emancipation Proclamation, he only freed the slaves of the states who had seceded. But Lincoln did something else towards the end of the Civil War that gets him, in my judgment, the category of superhero. He knew, after the fall of Richmond, that it was only a matter of time before the Confederacy fell. It wasn't a question of if, it was only a question of when. And he and Grant, who was the leading general of the Union Army, had conversations about what would happen. And of course, it did happen. Grant and Lee met at Appomattox, and Lee surrendered. The end of a horrific civil war. 600,000 total, probably, give or take, casualties between the Union and the Confederate armies. Just a horrible time with very intense feelings of hatred. And yet, based on the conversations between Lincoln and Grant, when the surrender took place, and shortly thereafter, there was a plan put in place that would reunite the country. And it was based not on hatred, not on retaliation, but on the hope that the country could reunite. First of all, when Lee surrendered, there were no imprisonments of Confederate soldiers. In fact, Confederate soldiers were told, take your horse, take your sidearm, your pistol, go and return to the farms and start again. Not an easy thing to do. Not at all. And Lincoln had a plan that to get the states back in, they were not going to be federally occupied territories. They were going to be states like they used to be. Only 10% of the population had to swear a loyalty oath to the Union. Now, unfortunately, the assassin came and things didn't work out anywhere near as well as they should have. But I give Lincoln superhero status because he had in mind the best way for a country to heal terrible, terrible wounds. Second person you may not have heard of, and I admit I have a personal interest here. Her name is Frances Perkins. She was the very first female cabinet member in the United States. And she served a long time. She served the entire time of Franklin Roosevelt's presidency. She was a very forward thinker. And it started because she witnessed a terrible tragedy. In 1910, there was a fire in New York City in a factory called the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. 146 people died in that fire. The fire escapes, there were no fire escapes. The doors to the sweatshops, and that's really what they were locked from the outside because the owners didn't want any laggards not working at their tables, their sewing tables where they belonged. That one event affected Frances Perkins all her life. And she went on to champion labor reform, immigration reform, and interestingly enough, with great opposition, something that's near and dear to a large number of people in this congregation, myself included, Social Security. My personal interest is that Frances Perkins summers in the village next to the village where we live in Maine, and her home is open to visitors. I have to admit, I've never been there, but that's my resolution for the summer. I'm going to go and see Frances Perkins' home. I also have a personal connection, very slight, with my next superhero, Nelson Mandela. He was imprisoned in South Africa for his crimes against apartheid for 27 years. 18 of those years were at a place called Robben Island. And you can go and visit, if you're in Cape Town, and visit Robben Island. And I had the honor of doing just that. And you can see how much he must have suffered. They have his actual cell cleaned up, I'm sure. Very, very tiny. No mattress of any kind. Very, very primitive. And then you walk down the street and you see this giant outcropping of white stone. For 18 years, he was kept at hard labor and every day marched out to the white stone and was not allowed to wear sunglasses. And his penalty was to take large rocks and chip them into gravel. he lost sight in one eye because the environment was so white and so bright. Nelson Mandela succeeded. Apartheid, at least in part, was overthrown, and he became president of his country. And he promised and he tried his very best to deliver not retaliation, but resolution. And as proof of that, even today, there is a holiday in South Africa, December 16th, which is called I want to make sure I get this right, Day of Reconciliation. And each and every day as South Africa continues to struggle, they celebrate that holiday that Mandela put in place. The last superhero might be a little controversial, but I don't believe it is in this congregation. My last superhero was Barack Obama. We won't talk about what Barack Obama's been through this week. That's subject of a separate sermon. Two things about Barack Obama, among many, stand out for me. The first was an event that took place on June 26, 2015 in Charleston, close by. Barack Obama was asked to speak at the eulogy of the 9 people who were killed in a racist bombing in a black church. And he got up to speak, and he had toyed with the idea of some sort of music, whatever. But he was inspired to start singing all by himself, Amazing Grace. And of course, the congregation swelled in and made that particular service extremely special. And he did something else that gets him superhero status. Over numerous objections and criticisms and political wrangling and so forth, he assured the ability for the lower middle class and the middle class in this country to have health insurance. It's being whittled away as we speak. But that is a monument to him, a monument that's so great that even the opposition refers to that plan as Obamacare. A very, very significant thing occurred in our life. What are the 2 characteristics that I talked about? The first, I think, is that all 4 of these people, and many other, had the quality of empathy. Now, let's be careful here. It's not just sympathy. That's pretty easy. But empathy is something far above that. Empathy is the feeling not just for someone, but to be with someone. Quite frankly, I have to admit, as I did a little research and typed on my computer, what's the difference between sympathy and empathy? I'm not sure that I have a great deal of empathy. Not a nice thing to say about myself, but it's not something that comes easy to me. Sympathy might, but not empathy. But a superhero has empathy. They go above and beyond the idea of just sympathy for someone by putting themselves to some degree in the shoes of other people. The second thing that I think holds superheroes together is they all had, at some point in their life, power. They all had, in various ways, the ability to change things, the ability to make not just personal changes, but large-scale cultural changes. Where are we today? That's my message of hope and my message of despair, both. The despair is that, in my judgment, we are so desperately in need of a superhero. And we have candidates. We start with the fact that we have 435 House of Representatives and 100 senators who have, to some degree, power. And yet, I haven't seen many, if any, who have the quality of empathy. 435 plus 100 people who could speak out about the terrible things that are going on that are making me almost physically ill. And yet, in large measure, they remain silent. We have here 2 senators and a congressperson. I've not heard a single word from any of our representatives, people that represent me, of outrage about what's going on, particularly in Minneapolis, but all over the country as well. Where are they? That's the despair. That's my despair. Where are our superheroes when we need them the most? And I don't have an answer for that question. But I also end with a little bit of a message of hope. And that is that if you look through history at times of great despair, and that's a time that I believe we are in, that superheroes do emerge. And sometimes they emerge from places that you don't think they're going to come from. Who the heck ever heard of Barack Obama when he was an obscure senator from Illinois? Who ever heard of Nelson Mandela and what he did? Frances Perkins had to look her up on Wikipedia to really find out what was going on. That the message of hope is that superheroes sometimes will appear. And I think that that's what we need right now. We need someone who respects those words that I shared with you this morning. Words that are sacred to me. Words of the Bill of Rights and what people can expect and how people are to be treated. And so I leave you, yes, with lamentations and feelings and frustrations, but also to say, maybe out there, maybe, just maybe, someone is going to arise that can lead us to the promised land, or can lead us in some ways back to what I consider to be our promised land, our country, our democracy, our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. I want to remind those of you that are here that we will stay for our talk back. Those of you that have not ever seen or been a part of that, we'll gather back here about 11:15, again carrying our sacred coffee with us and gathering here and just talking about what we've heard and sharing what we think about what we have heard. And I want to thank Dick for taking us deep into super, because we are super people, you and I, and it comes from our hearts. And it comes from our lives, and it comes from the way that we find the difference between sympathy and empathy and live the latter. Amen? Amen. So let's just take a moment to think on that, and then I'm going to invite Dick up for closing words. Let's just stop for a moment. I'd ask now that we would breathe in empathy and breathe out our power. Thank you. Dick, if you would please, closing words.
I think it's 11 o'clock. We're going to dispense with the closing hymn. So I'll say the closing words and then we'll extinguish the chalice. Closing words come from a woman named Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And I see some people nodding their heads. A lady who specialized in the study of death and the stages of death. And other people have taken that and applied those stages to other parts of our lives. And this is what she wrote. The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep, loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen.
As our time together comes to an end, would you please stand if you are willing and able and join me in the extinguishing of the chalice. While we extinguish this flame, we continue to carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment until we are together again.